fundamentals. So today we are going to discuss a little more about the history of physics and the basis of physics, and just kind of get an overview of why physics began and how physics is used, and a better understanding of physics altogether. So we'll just kind of go through this, and it's good information to know. Oftentimes we are working in an area, and we do the work and we understand the policy and procedure, but really just to get an overall grasp and understanding as to why we do what we do, and exactly how it all came about. And so sometimes it's just good to kind of know histories of why we practice the things we practice. And physics began in Greece, and classical physics was practiced amongst the Greece, and then by the turn of the 1600s, you had Aristotle, and you had others that came along. Isaac Newton with his theory of relativity, and then you had modern physics, or what we refer to as modern physics, and then from there you get your other universities of physics. And again, there are various forms of physics that are practiced, and again, these are referred to as universities. So you'll need to understand that. You'll need to understand that within each university, there are different scientists, and they use physics within their university, and they are able to operate physics within specific universities. And sometimes there will be multiple universities that you are allowed to operate in using physics. So let's just talk about a few people that you will definitely associate physics with. And then again, as I mentioned before, Newton. So Isaac Newton was known for his relativity laws, and his first law, there was 3 laws, but we're going to want you to know the first law and Isaac Newton's law. And his first law is law of motion. So Isaac Newton practiced physics, and he contributed to physics the law of motion. And the law of motion says that an object at rest will remain at rest unless a net force acts on it. So again, Isaac Newton's first law is the law of motion, and the first law of motion says an object at rest will remain at rest unless a net force acts on it. Now, the second part of this law says that an object in motion will remain in motion unless a net force acts on it. An object in motion will remain in motion unless a net force acts on it. So Isaac Newton uses a soccer ball for his theory and gives his example. It is almost as if it is a teeter-totter or a seesaw. When the ball is balanced in the middle and the seesaw or teeter-totter is not moving, the ball does not move. But if any force or the seesaw or the teeter-totter moves, then the ball will roll one way or the other. So again, Isaac Newton's law of motion states that an object at rest will remain at rest unless a net force acts on it. And then he says an object in motion will remain in motion unless a net force acts on it. So, again, we want to be familiar with these laws because this will appear on the examination. Physics is the natural science of matter involving the study of matter and its fundamental constituents, its motion and behavior through space and time and related entities of energy and force. This is the definition of physics. And I'm going to just go over it one more time with you so that you understand. Physics is the natural science of matter involving the study of matter, its fundamental constituents, its motion and behavior through space and time, and the related entities of energy and force. So this is the definition of physics. And physics says that you do have time for happiness. You do have time to perform an act of kindness. You do have time to laugh. You do have time to smile, to walk tall, to enjoy a cup of tea. You do have time to pray. You do have time to play with the puppy. You do have time to keep a gratitude journal. You do have time to listen to happy music. You do have time to take a nap. Go for a stroll in the park. You do have time to meditate. You do have time to have sex. Go for a run. Volunteer. Physics says you do have time. So make sure you understand the law of motion and have a formal understanding of what physics is.